it's just power button on, power button off. Good evening. Welcome to the 2025.
Austin.
Sir,
They can't hear.
can you hear me? No? Can you all hear me? Not at all? I'm going to move it a little closer and talk a little bit louder. Good evening. Can you hear me? All right. Hopefully Dr. Long speaks a little louder than I do. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Austin Dunson. I am the Director of Communications for College Station Independent School District, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2025 College Station ISD Board of Trustees Candidate Forum. I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce our moderator and subject expert for this evening. Our moderator is Dr. Robert Long. Dr. Robert Long serves as the Division Director for Board Development Services at the Texas Association of School Boards. He oversees professional learning for more than 7,000 trustees across Texas, facilitating training in governance, ethics, and leadership. Our subject matter expert this evening is Jason Burdine. Jason Burdine is a Texas Education Agency registered provider for continuing education for school board trustees. A Texas A&M University graduate, he has served as president and vice president of the Fort Bend ISD Board of Trustees and currently serves on the board of directors for the Texas State School Safety Center. I think with that, I will turn it over to our moderator and subject matter expert to get this thing going.
Good evening. Let's give Austin a round of applause and his team. His team has been working very feverishly to get this all set up for you all. And so, good evening, College Station community and families. Welcome. Can you hear me okay, everyone? That's the most important part. I got a loud mouth, as my wife would say. Welcome to the 2025 College Station ISD Board of Trustees Candidate Forum. This evening's forum provides an opportunity to hear directly from the candidates seeking to serve our students, staff, and your community. We appreciate your community and commitment to staying informed and engaged in local governance. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to recognize members of your community who have served others. So if there are any veterans in the audience, could you please stand? Any teachers or educators that came around? Oh, there's a vet. Yes. Thank you for your service, sir. Teachers and educators. So glad to see teachers and educators in the audience. Any elected or appointed officials in the attendance tonight, please stand. Welcome, sir. Let's give them a round of applause for their service. And now, without further ado, we're going to stand for our pledge to the American flag. Honor, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You may be seated. So tonight's forum is designed to encourage a respectful and informative discussion. We ask that all attendees and candidates follow to these guidelines. First, applause etiquette. Applause is only allowed after all candidates have spoken, and I will help you with this. I promise. We're in this together. So, like when everybody finishes, I will say, let's give them all a round of applause. And we do this because they will have 1 minute opening, 2 minute per questions, and if someone starts clapping while someone else is speaking, you're not going to hear it. And my main goal, or Jason's main goal, is really to make sure that everybody's voice is heard uninterrupted. So that's critically important. Also, no interruptions. Candidates will not interrupt each other while speaking. Stay on topic. Candidates will focus on issues and not address each other or their opponents. Respectful environment. Any disruptions will result in removal. Like Austin will get some support. We don't want to do that. Equal time. Each candidate will be given equal time, and all candidates agreed to all these rules just a few minutes ago in our meeting. So we're all in agreement? Correct. Great. Now that that's out of business, we can have some fun this evening. So I'm going to start with the introduction of the candidates for those of you in the audience, and then those of you who are online viewing this on the YouTube channel. For your knowledge, I'm going to introduce the candidates, starting first with position 3 or place 3. As you see, there are 2 candidates, Chris Field and Grant Madsen. All candidates were invited. And so tonight we have Chris Fields here. So give him a round of applause. Nope, I almost broke my own rule. See, sneak up on you, testing you. So Chris Field is here for position or place 3. In place 4, we have Mike Martindale and Jeff Horak. And then in place 5, we have Kimberly McAdams and Oliver Hadnot. And those are your candidates. And so now you may give them a round of applause. And so now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty with opening statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute. 1 minute, and I recruited one of your community members to be my timekeeper. I lost my timekeeper, and so Mr. George Trout is going to serve as timekeeper here. Everyone can see the time there, and so he will be the official timekeeper for us this evening. Thank you, George, for volunteering. So each candidate will have 1 minute to introduce themselves, share their motivation for running, and describe their connection to the College Station community. We will go in ballot order for opening statements, and the order will then rotate throughout the other questions. For the forum questions, for your knowledge, so we have a combination of questions. The questions created for tonight's forum were done in collaboration with the State Board's Education Framework for School Board Development, which is essentially the TEKS. Just like teachers and educators have TEKS that they have to teach, school board members have guidance on how they should learn, what their professional development should be, that's established by the State Board of Education. And so those questions are sort of a caveat of that. And if we get time, we also have community-based questions that were submitted that we will have them respond to as well. So, opening statements, we will start with place 3. Actually, that's not true. We're going to flip that. We're going to start with place 5 for our opening statement, starting with Ms. Kimberly McAdams, and then we'll have Mr. Oliver Hadnot. Ms. McAdams, you have 1 minute at your ready.
All righty, thank you, Robert. My name is Kimberly McAdams, and I'm running for place 5. I'm the incumbent. I've been serving 9 years so far, finishing up my third term on the school board. And I'm running because I want to continue to serve the students, the teachers, and really our whole community, because I believe that public education not only matters to our 14,000 students that are in our schools, but also to all of us. When we do a good job, it impacts our community. So I got involved with our schools pretty much just a few months after we moved to this community 18 years ago, because my daughter started kindergarten. And I got on PTO, and I did that for the whole 16 years my kids were in school. But I also got involved in school board, and that's really been a passion of mine for the 9 years. And so if reelected, I will just continue to show up and speak up for, again, our students and for our teachers, both here in the boardroom, but also in Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Hadnot, 1 minute at your ready, sir.
Good evening. My name is Oliver Hadnot. My reason for wanting to be on the board is because I'm a kid person. I've been involved in kids all my life, starting with my first job at middle school in my hometown of Jasper, Texas. One of my teachers got me involved in education because she told me that could be a great teacher. So what did I do? I took her advice for it. And I went to school. I graduated from Magnet State University with my bachelor's. I got my master's from Stephen F. Austin University. And I was prompt to come to College Station by a former superintendent. He asked me, he said, could you come down here and stay for at least 2 or 3 years? I said, yes, I can do that. But I got here, and I loved it so much. The kids were so good. The teachers were so good. The district was so good that I said, hey, I might like this job. So what I did was...
It's your minute.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
That's fast.
It's fast, I know.
That's really fast.
Moving on to place number 4. We're going to start with you, Mr. Mike Martindale, and then Mr. Horak. 1 minute opening statement. 1 minute, sir. Mr. Martindale, at your ready, sir.
Thank you. My name's Mike Martindale. I'm a retired educator of 33 years, the last 16 years of which have been in College Station ISD. My wife, Alicia, is a teacher at College Station High School. She also taught at College Station Middle School and Welborn Middle School. We have 2 children, both products of College Station ISD. Ava, who is currently a junior at the University of North Alabama, and she was a graduate of CSISD class of 23. And Cooper, who is a freshman at the University of Arkansas in class of 25. And I've already told him he is my son and he is blood, but I'm rooting for the Aggies on Saturday. I am running to give back, to give service and show my gratitude for all the district has provided for me and my family over the past 16, 18 years that we worked in the school, the kids went to school here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Horak.
Jeff Horak, place 4. I'm the incumbent. Have you ever thought when you walk across the stage at CSISD in 1997, you're going to sit here as a school board trustee? I know I did not think that. But here I am finishing up my 6th year as a trustee. And that's because of everything that I've experienced. And my wife and my 3 kiddos are in the school district. My parents were 20-year educators here in College Station ISD, and I went through the system here. And the opportunities that I've had since I walked in 1997 have provided me the basis and direction to be where I'm at right now. And the sky is the limit at this point, and I'm only 46 years old. And to have that mentality is what I hope for all students that walk through our doors and walk across that stage, and I look forward to doing it for 3 more years.
Thank you, sir. Now we're moving on to place 3 for opening statements. Chris Fields. Mr. Fields, you have 1 minute at your ready, sir.
Thank you. My name is Chris Field, and I'm running for place 3. I am a very proud product of CSISD as well, K through 12. Starting all the way back at College Hills with Mrs. Crawledge, who was a legend here in this district for many years. I now have 4 kids in the district, and I'm honored for the opportunity to be able to serve kids, to be able to serve teachers. Just in this room, both Jeff's parents and Mrs. Hester, 2 of the people in this room wrote me referrals at some point when I was a child. And this is evidence that everyone does eventually grow up. And so I want you to know, I hope parents take peace in knowing that what happens in those middle school years and those high school years does not always what you become as an adult. But I'm very excited about the chance to serve, the opportunity to be able to give back. My wife was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher for over 30 years. And I have a soft spot for teachers who do incredible work and for kids who I've been serving my whole career.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Now you may give them all a round of applause for. Thank you for your opening statements. Now, candidates, we're going to move into question number 1. Question number 1 is essentially framed around effective school board governance and what that really means. And so to give us a little background on that, we're going to kick it over to Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Long. Research shows that strong school board governance, characterized by communication, transparency, and accountability, directly impact student success.
So it's in the vein of that frame that we asked tonight's first question. As a College Station School Board trustee, what specific actions will you take as a trustee to ensure that College Station ISD's policies and decisions support student achievement while maintaining public trust? I'm going to read it one more time. As a trustee, if elected, what specific actions will you take as a trustee to ensure that College Station ISD's policies and decisions support student achievement while maintaining public trust? First person to respond to this question will be Chris in position place 3. Do you need me to read it? We're going to 2 minutes now. You have 2 minutes to respond. Hold on while he gets set up. And if you need me to reread the question. Two minutes at your ready, sir.
I think first and foremost, trust is built through conversations. It's built through spending time with people who are doing the work. So we have 2,000 incredible employees in this district who are in the schools every single day. They're in classrooms, they're in cafeterias, they're driving buses, they're fixing things that are broken. And we have to make sure that we build trust first and foremost with them to hear what's actually happening on the ground. And I'm deeply passionate about making sure the decisions we make are with teachers and not just for teachers. And I think that's one of the first ways that any board is going to build trust is by creating that atmosphere of listening, and not just listening for the sake of checking a box, but listening with the intention of taking that feedback and actually creating better systems and policies. Now, as it relates to accountability, I think being people who are willing to do what we say And when we don't do what we say, when we make a mistake, which we all do, we acknowledge that mistake. We own it. We don't hide behind it because of optics or because it doesn't feel good or it doesn't look good, but we say, hey, we made a mistake here. This should have been done differently, and here's how we're going to fix it in the future. I think that kind of trust is truly built over time with the community. And when that trust is broken, it takes a very long time to build it back. And so it's key for the school board to be upfront and direct about what we're doing, not just telling or making decisions in closed rooms, but having the ability to communicate with the community up front and doing so in a way that just continues to show them that you're there for the right reasons, not for yourself, but for every teacher and for every student.
Thank you, Mr. Field. Now moving on to place number 4. Mr. Martindale, will be starting with you. Would you like me to read the question again?
Please, please.
Question number 1 is, what specific actions will you take as a trustee to ensure that College Station ISD's policies and decisions support student achievement while maintaining public trust? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think the responsibility of board member and the superintendent working collectively as a team of 8 in collecting feedback from all the stakeholder groups, cast a vision for expectation for student success that reflects their local values and what you want to accomplish as a school district. With that, then it becomes the school board's responsibility to adopt policies that promote that vision and that learning and that success, again, that reflects the local values, and ensure the budget and all the systems built around that support achieving that and positioning students for success. There are a number of variables, obviously, that influence that. The first is stakeholder engagement. Much as Mr. Field said, we have to empower our teachers to do what they know is right with our students each and every day in their classroom. They're there at the ground level doing these things, and they know what will work and what will not. So it's imperative that we get their feedback, not just issue directives, but include them in the decision-making process as opposed on the front end, as opposed to on the back end. We must also, I think, not only engaging our teachers, but all of our stakeholder groups. There has to be mechanisms in place so the community and the various stakeholder groups feel ownership of the decisions that are being made, the vision that's being cast, and the expectations that we're establishing for our students and the performance within the district.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Horak, would you like me to read the question again, sir? What specific actions will you take as a trustee to ensure that College Station ISD's policies and decisions support student achievement while maintaining public trust? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
So it's interesting because as a trustee for the last 6 years, you come into this thinking you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and then you realize you don't. And then it's all a learning curve for you. Even on a bigger scale, now you're having to learn to work as a team of 8 because it's all 7 of us plus our superintendent, and we're just trying to make sure that the wheels stay on the track and we are going in the right direction. And that has a lot of intricate details and a lot of intricate parts. Luckily, with the experiences that I've had, being able to be in the community with obviously my daughters being involved in a lot of different things. So I'm in the community, obviously my wife being in the school district. So I have a lot of connections with different folks in all 19 campuses. I get to hear a lot of positives and negatives. And the goal of that as a trustee that I have found is you have to share those with the superintendent, because as you can understand, the superintendent is only going to know so much about what's going on in the district because he or she empowers the folks that he hires or she hires to take care of the opportunities that we are trying to provide for our students to achieve. And so with that, my goal has always been, let's make sure our teachers feel empowered to be able to talk to their leadership teams on their campuses so that we as a district know what we can do and where our faults are coming in and where we need to strive better to be better as educators, but then obviously better as trustees. And so if we continue to look at that, the trust will build because everybody's working in harmony and everybody understands we have one goal, and that's to educate our students, and they need to achieve. And in order to do that, the trust has to start in the classroom and move to the campus level at leadership, and then on up if we can't get answers and can't get direction. And so that's where I'm listening and trying to understand where our faults are so we can get to the bottom of those.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to place 5. And that place 5 starts with you, Ms. McAdams. Would you like me to read the question again?
Actually, I think I'm good.
Okay.
So I've
2
got.
minutes at your ready.
All
Sorry.
right, thank you. I've got a couple of things I'll focus on. The first thing, I think it starts in the boardroom. I mean, obviously, as a board member, I believe that when the 8 of us sit around the table here, that we all bring a perspective to the room, and it's part of our role as an elected official to have those hard conversations in an open meeting, right? That's part of the transparency that's important for our community. But it is the role. So I think sometimes those are tough discussions, but that's an important part of what a board does. And so asking, along with those tough conversations, or, asking the tough questions, making sure that we're looking at all the relevant data and addressing, all the pieces of the puzzle before we make important decisions for our district. I think similar to that, as some of the other candidates mentioned, I think for the big decisions that are really going to impact our school district, I think we need to get all the voices at the table, not just the 8 of us on the team of 8. I'm a believer in inviting in having community committees, having students, teachers, parents, voices at the table when we make those decisions. So I mean, we've seen that work in many cases, and we need to continue to, I think, use that mechanism when we're making our big decisions. And then another thing I always focus on, and it's related to that, is what are our processes that we have in place as a board? Do we have them documented in policy, or are they just the ways that we're going to operate to make sure everybody understands how we approach things, and also make sure everybody, again, gets their voice as part of the decision making? So those are 3 specifics that I'd focus on.
Thank you so much, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Hadnot, would you like me to read the question again, sir? Absolutely. What specific actions will you take as a trustee to ensure that College Station ISD's policies and decisions support student achievement while maintaining public trust? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Just like Ms. McAdams and Mr. Horak stated earlier, when you're in that boardroom, you're a team of 8. No one person can make a decision that's going to impact 14,000 students. My suggestion would be to talk each other, work it out. You would love to have a 7-0 decision every time you come out, but that's not going to happen. You have to be able to get other people involved, just like Ms. McAdams said, and everybody else down the line. You have to get everybody else involved. Teachers, students, community members. If you get those people involved, then you would not have to worry about things not going right in our school district. We have to put everybody's voice, let everybody's voice be heard. We have to know what our why is when we go in that boardroom every time we have a board meeting. So that is what I plan on trying to obtain if I am elected to the board.
Thank you, sir. Audience members, please give them a round of applause for the completion of question 1. Y'all are doing beautifully, having some good fun. We're going to move along to question 2, which centers around long-term commitment to the school district.
All right, thank you, sir. This is one of my favorite subjects here. So, trustees with long-term commitment bring deep insight into community strength and challenges. I often like to think that being a trustee is not a now and here manager, but a long-term policy maker and problem solver.
And it is in the spirit of that question that we ask question number 2. What long-term priorities or community values will guide your decision making to strengthen College Station's ISD future? I'm going to say it again. What long-term priorities or community values that will guide your decision making, that will be your compass essentially, that will strengthen College ISD's future? Response order, we're going to start with place 3 with Mr. Fields. I can ask the question again, sir, if you want me to do that.
One more time. That'd be
No
great.
worries.
I think everybody else would appreciate that too.
I love it.
You don't want to start at the end and come back the other way? We're going this way
We're
again?
going this way.
Great. Let's do it.
There'll be another
Let's do
iteration
it.
of that.
Let's go.
All right. What long-term priorities or community values will guide your decision making to strengthen College ISD's future? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Great. First and foremost, I think that this community has had great schools for a very, very, very long time. We're in an incredibly fortunate position that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to make sure we're not jamming sticks into a wheel that's been running pretty well for a long time. Our greatest asset is undeniably our educators. And the more we can lean on them, listen to them, learn from them, and in some ways let them do their job or let them cook, as the kids would say, we're going to be better off as a community. As far as long-term priorities, there are some things that have been a challenge in this district for a while. Our test scores and sometimes the opportunity for some of our more vulnerable populations continue to lag. That's something that's been ongoing for a while, and that gap has in some times or at some places it's gotten smaller, but that's something we need to continue to focus on, not ignore that. As far as ways that we can continue to invest in the community for the long term as a board, it's remembering that legislation is going to come and go. People in Austin are going to come and go, and what we're left with is each other. And that means that we're not overly focused on test scores. We're not overly focused on TEA ratings or things that we really have no control over at the end of the day. But it's in raising the best students we can who are going to have the highest chance of success when they walk out of this school district. Whatever they choose to do next, that they've been empowered to do that. And we've taught them to be good citizens, and that the decisions we make as a district reflect that in our priorities.
Thank you, Mr. Field. Moving on to place number 4. This time we'll start with Mr. Horak. Mr. Horak, would you like me to read the question again, sir? Absolutely. What long-term priorities or community values will guide your decision-making to strengthen College Station ISD's future? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Are you starting it or do I talk first?
Yes, you talk first.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you talk first.
Okay. So when you have to look at this, I look at it from a standpoint of where we were. And so when you look at that, you can kind of learn from your past and then obviously live in the present and then plan for the future. And so being here for 6 years now, I think back to 2013 when I sat with a group of parents that were like, we live in the shadows of Texas A&M University and we don't have an ag barn, we don't have a CTE center. Obviously 10 years later, we have a CTE center. And so I look back and I go, okay, what does that mean when we're talking about priorities and direction and then obviously community values and things like that? Well, our community is very giving. And our community is very involved. And we appreciate that because there's probably school districts that we talk to at TASB that don't have that luxury. And we're thankful for that. And so we take that into consideration and then we look at it, okay, where are we headed? What's the plan? And so that's where the 23 and 24 bonds came into play and what that looked like. I mean, everything going over at Consol right now was there when I was there in 97. And so it's kind of crazy to see where we're at now. And obviously being on the board and seeing those come to fruition, and then now with my daughters coming up behind it and being able to experience all this, I kind of look to, hey, we're headed in the right direction. Our STAR scores have improved year over year. Our CTE center is expanding. We can look at everything from teacher retention being improved to A through F accountability being better because our campuses are doing better. We're having to fight the battle that TEA sends to us, and we continue to rise to the occasion. And the proof is in what our schools and what our teachers are doing for our students. And it's fun to see, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to watch it continue to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Mr. Martindale, would you like me to repeat the
Sure.
question? What long-term priorities or community values will guide your decision-making to strengthen College ISD's future? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Very good. I think historically, College Station has been a very successful school district, and that's why we moved here in 2007 and brought our kids here to be raised here. And the quality of education they received, you can see flourish now as they've moved on to the next step in their lives at universities. I think that success, the foundational piece of that and the historical success of the school district is grounded and founded in the quality of educators that we have as a part of this district, the teachers and staff at the campuses as well as at central office. That's the foundational piece. No other success will follow without the quality in the classrooms and ensure that we are aggressively recruiting and retaining the best educators for our kids. Another thing that makes our district so strong and needs to be or continue to be a priority and always has been and should be a part of the vision of the future is ensuring that our stakeholders, all of our community stakeholders, feel engaged and that we have mechanisms and processes in place to engage them and gather their feedback. We're very fortunate here in College Station ISD that our community values education the way they do, and that contributes to its success as well. So we'd have to take all those things into account. I would 100% agree with Mr. Horak with the evolution of facilities here is something that probably should have been done back in 2013, but we tried to get the ball rolling with that in 2021. And I think it's wonderful that the bond in 23 and 24 passed as well because we needed it from a facility standpoint. But the foundation piece and what we need to build, everything as far as vision and expectations in the future are built around ensuring that we have quality staff and teachers and we have a culture where they feel valued.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Moving on to place 5. Mr. Hatnot, we will start with you. Would you like me to read the question again, sir? Trustees with long-term commitment bring deep insight into community strengths. What are the long-term priorities or community values that will guide your decision-making to strengthen College Station ISD's future? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Somebody may have mentioned this, but putting children first, that's going to be our first priority. Children first. We want to have our kids to be safe in our schools. That's the number one thing. As an administrator, you don't want things to happen that can be prevented from day one. You want to be prepared for things when it happens. We have come a long way with our STAR scores. I remember when, back in the day we had STAR scores were low, but now, like Chris said, they're steady climbing up. That's all because we got teachers that are doing the work in the classroom. We got to make sure that these people don't leave these campuses that are working so hard to get these STAR scores up. I know Mr. Martindale and I have had conversations about STAR scores in the past, and we were all trying to figure out what we were going to do because at some point they were staying stagnant, but now they're beginning to move upward. So and that's because of the teachers and the procedures that the school boards are putting in right now, like solution trees and stuff like that. We have to continue to do that. Vocation, got to have vocation. All kids don't go to college, but all kids go to work. So the more vocational programs that we can put in our schools, the better off we're going to be. I was talking to the parent today who said her kid had 3 vocational classes: welding, pipe fitting, and electrician. That's where the money is. We have to make sure that these people are doing what they need to do. Pay raises. Who wouldn't want a pay raise? If we could, we should get a pay, teachers and our ICS all should get pay raises at least every year, not wait 5 years so the state can give them a pay raise. We need to make sure that they get pay raises from the board.
Thank you, sir. Ms. McAdams? Sounds great. What long-term priorities or community values will guide your decision-making to strengthen College ISD's future? 2 minutes at your ready.
All right. Well, I think when I think of our community values, I clearly think of a community that values education. I mean, with the big school here in town, we have families and just a whole community that cares about what we do here in our schools, and it shows. So they value our teachers as well. They support our bonds. They support our VATRE when we went out and got money for our teachers. So that is a wonderful thing. But with that value comes high expectations also. And so we see that and I think we really live up to them by a large degree. I mean, we put academics, high standards on our academics, right? We offer many opportunities for our students, and that's important to them. But we offer also this wide breadth and depth of opportunities for every student, because I think that is the other thing that our community over and over shows us that they care about is all students in our community. They want a firm foundation for everybody. And yes, our STAR scores are a part of that. We need to have some academic success there, but it's so much more than that. It is all the other opportunities that we can give a student, whether that is a CTE course or whether it's, success in our extracurriculars and our competitions. And, it costs us a lot of money to send 2 bands to state every year, but we want our schools to succeed and our students to succeed. So I think that's a value that our community has, is success across the board for our students, and I'm going to keep working for it because it's important.
Thank you so much, Ms. McAdams. Let's give them a round of applause. That concludes the answers to question 2. And we're going to change it up a little bit and change our questioning. We're actually going to insert one of our community one of our community submitted questions at this time, since many of you have mentioned the importance of community. Many of you have mentioned the importance of teachers and staff and keeping highly qualified teachers here in College Station ISD. So this was submitted by one of your community members, and it's really around governance and leadership trust. Jason?
This is one of my favorites, truly. It's very impactful. Research consistently underscores that trust between employees and leadership is a hallmark of high-performing school systems. According to the State Board of Education framework for school board development, effective governance requires establishing systems that promote transparency, ethical conduct, and a culture of psychological safety. When employees fear retaliation for expressing concerns, communication breaks down and organizational learning halts. Boards play a critical role in ensuring that every staff member from the classroom to central administration feels heard, valued, and supported.
Thank you, Jason. And so this question came from your community. Many CSISD employees feel there's no safe way to share concerns about district leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, and professional integrity within the district's leadership structure? I'm going to read it again. Many CISD employees feel there's no safe way to share concerns about district leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, and professional integrity within the district's structure? We are going to start with you, Mr. Martindale, place 4. We're going to start with place 4 this time. Mr. Martindale and then Mr. Horak. Mr. Martindale, would you like me to read the question again, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Many CISD employees or College Station ISD employees feel that there's no safe way to share concerns about district leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, professional integrity within the district's leadership culture? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Yes, sir. Relationships. Relationships and being visible. Having worked in the school district for 16 years at various levels and different campuses, I've developed relationships with faculty and staff and throughout the community. As a board member, you have to maintain and establish those relationships. And only after you establish those relationships will you develop a trust so that folks feel as though they can approach you and comment if they have, or if they disagree with some of the decision making. Your responsibility at that point as a board member is to make sure you let administration know. As a board member, really your responsibility is to communicate that to the superintendent, who in turn can communicate with campus administration. I think you should encourage those folks to communicate with campus administration. So whatever the case may be, maybe it can be solved at the campus level. And again, the only way you do that and encourage people to do as much is to get out and develop relationships. You can't manage from afar. You have to face things up front. You have to provide opportunity for folks to be engaged so they can see you involved in the process. You have to be approachable. You have to have a teamwork attitude with it. I don't think any one person carries all the knowledge. I think it's a collective group effort because at the end of the day, we all want what's best for the kids. And that's a common thread. We may have different perspectives on how we get there, but at the end of the day, we want the very best for our kids. So to do that, you have to have relationships. You have to encourage people to speak up. You have to hold administration accountable for listening and being approachable and offering guidance in a non-aggressive manner.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Horak, would you like me to read the question again, sir? Many College Station ISD employees feel that there's no safe way to share concerns about district leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, and professional integrity within the district's leadership structure? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
So I'm a firm believer of without education, there is no communication. And when you look at it from that standpoint, we have to make sure that we inform and guide our teachers, staff members, and everybody in the district that we cannot address anything as a district without knowing what is going on, what is wrong, where we need to get better. And so that is something, especially here in the last 2 years, that I kept hearing was, hey, what is going on here? Why is this happening? Different aspects, different infiltrations of campuses of trying to understand. And every campus operates different. And I get that because every leadership team is different. And so when you look at that, I think the plan was, and what we implemented after talking to the superintendent was, y'all have got to get out and understand it. You can be on campuses all day long, but there is an intimidation factor because you are from central office. And that's just kind of the facts of life. And so the opportunity presented itself where feedback sessions were provided at all the campuses. And so those feedback sessions gave us an insight, and then central office could address the scenarios and the situations at hand. And so if you can get out to your teachers and your staff at your campuses, they will feel like they can have a conversation. And we have to be able to explain that there is no retaliation in this. This is all for the betterment of our school district. This is the betterment for our students. And anything that is shared, positive, negative, we're going to take it as a trustee. And obviously central office, we're going to charge them with, these are concerns and we need to have them addressed. And if they're not addressed, they need to be explained of how we're going to get to that next level. And so as long as we have that mentality of developing those connections, those relationships, teachers with their current administration on campus, and sharing that with central office, we'll move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Now moving on to place number 5. We're going to start with you, Ms. McAdams. Would you like me to read the question again? Many College Station ISD employees feel that there is no safe way to share concerns about district's leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, professional integrity within the district's leadership structure? 2 minutes at your ready, ma'am.
All right, thank you. I guess first of all, it's unfortunate we have this question, but it is coming up from our community, and I know it is a concern. And one reason I want to continue to serve on the board is to continue to work on pathways for all of the voices in our community to be heard. Every teacher, every staff member, as well as our parents and community. So, I mean, there's a number of ways to do it as an individual board member. One way I do it is by listening to folks and developing a trust relationship with our teachers and with parents to be able, so they feel like they can share their concerns. But I really wish we had even more systematic processes where folks felt they were being heard. And everybody should be able to speak up and say, this is what we do well in the district, but this is where we have ways that we can make it better. Because I believe that's the way we really can get better, if we can be honest about what those opportunities are. And, so whether that's in a committee format where people truly can state something that is not working with the district, and that is documented, that's written down, and we're all okay with saying that, or whether it's a survey mechanism. I've been an advocate for a anonymous survey for teachers to be able to express their viewpoints. And I am well aware that surveys aren't a perfect mechanism, but they are one way that we can gather everybody's voice in a safe way. And then otherwise, I think our board should maybe think about doing some kind of our own individual coffee chats. I've done some personally, but I think it would be a nice way for us to format more conversations with more of our community. Perfect, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Hadnot, would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
Yes, please.
Many College Station ISD employees feel that there's no safe way to share concerns about district leadership without fear of retaliation. As a trustee, how would you ensure that all staff can voice concerns safely and be heard while also maintaining trust, accountability, and professional integrity within the district's leadership structure? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
We've got to figure out a way to bring people to the table. People have got to be involved in decision making, whether it be through the community voice, or through teachers, or through students. It doesn't matter, but they've got to have a voice in what's going on in College Station. If you don't let them have a choice in decision making, then they're going to always feel like, hey, we've got something to hide. They've got something to hide. They don't want to know anything. And we shouldn't have to have people saying things and writing things anonymously, because you know what? Then there's no test for that. There's nothing you can do about somebody writing something anonymously about somebody when they can go strictly to the superintendent and talk to him himself. That's the problem that we're having. We're doing too much stuff anonymously. We got to put stuff on the table. Anonymous, there's no way to check anonymous. They can put anything on what they want to say on paper. There's no way to check it. Build relationships with teachers. I know as a superintendent, Mr. Martindale, he was on my campus all the time, talking to teachers. That's another way to build trust. He was there all the time. He didn't want anything. He just wanted to talk to the teachers. But that's the way to build faith and confidence in and trust in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Hadnot. Moving over to position or place number 3, Mr. Chris Fields, would you like me to read the question again, sir?
I'm not going to do that to you.
Okay, well, it's your choice.
I was able to write it down because you said it so many times, so I'm actually good.
It's great. Hey, I want the folks in the audience and the folks who are viewing this online to have a clear understanding of what you guys are being asked and
Thank
give
you.
you guys ample opportunity to answer so they can make informed decisions. So
Thank you. I feel good about it.
At your ready, sir.
I think a question like this is a mirror that we have to hold up and ask ourselves, why would somebody feel like this? And it's not fun to think about that somebody doesn't feel safe. It's not fun to think that somebody thinks they're retaliation. And I think sometimes in leadership, the response is to say, well, why do they feel like that? They shouldn't feel like that. And sometimes that is a clue as to why they feel like that, because that is the response. The best way to keep people from feeling like this is to create a culture of true servant humility, where they think you do actually care about how they feel because you want them to win and be successful. And the only way to create that is by being a person who wants them to win and be successful, and that they think you care more about their success than you do about your own success. That you don't need to be in front, you're willing to push them to the front and to help them look like they are the person who is doing the work. Because at the end of the day, none of us are going to actually do the work in classrooms that's going to change kids' lives. It's going to be the teachers that we empower. So if they say we don't feel safe, we shouldn't make a list of reasons that shouldn't be true. We should sit in a room and look at each other and say, what have we done that hasn't created a culture of people feeling safe? A few years ago, when Mr. Martindale was superintendent, I had a conversation with him where I asked him, what's one of the biggest needs in this community? What is a thing that doesn't cost money that might make our teachers' lives better? And he said, we don't have enough subs. And so I went and I got sub certified, and I started subbing as often as I could in my kids' classrooms. And if I'm elected to the board, I would like to create a policy where each of the board members has to sub at least once every semester on a different campus. So that's one way to build trust with the teachers, is because they're going to see you in the lunchroom and they're going to be able to say, hey, you see that kid over there doing that thing? We need help. So I think it's built in those ways.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. And that concludes our question number 3. Please give them a round of applause. So that was our first community question. We're now going back to our regular SBOE questions, which question number 4 is focused on financial responsibility and fiscal stewardship.
Thank you, Dr. Long. So here's the tough one. If you know anything about Texas public education, this is something that is definitely a hurdle that we have to face. Across Texas, districts face ongoing challenges with state funding and budget pressure. This question is about the future and how you want to invest in your community here in College Station in the Research Valley.
So the question is, and we're going to go in this order, we're going to start with place 5 this time. If that works for you guys, we'll start with place 5 and then go to 3 and then end with place number 4. How will you balance fiscal responsibility with the need to maintain competitive teacher pay, high quality programs, and equitable resources for all students? I'm going to say the question again. As a school board trustee, if you are duly elected, how will you balance fiscal responsibility with the need to maintain competitive teacher pay, high quality programming, and equitable resources for all College Station ISD students? Again, we're going to start with place number 5, Ms. McAdams.
I think it was me.
2 minutes at your ready.
Okay, well, this is obviously an important question. It's one of the main jobs of a school board member, is to figure out how we're going to spend the pot of money that we are allocated from the state of Texas. And we've had to certainly make cuts over the 9 years that I've been on the board. We had to make cuts this year, even with the money that came some additional money that came from the state this year, it was earmarked for some certain things. So we had to make some tough choices in other areas. And my viewpoint, first of all, is the classroom with the teachers. And I know we had to increase class sizes a little bit, but I said, if we're going to have some pain in the classrooms, we're going to have to share that pain with some other areas as well. And I've had sports parents, band parents, complain about why are their budgets cut, and because everybody's budget was cut some, and so we have to share that pain. So that's part of it. We got to make sure that we are meeting the needs in the classroom, and that includes paying our teachers. So that is a priority. I think the other thing is that that I've learned, certainly in the last couple of years, is that our voices in Austin do matter. So that's part of what I have taken on as my charge in the last couple of years, is advocating for CSISD and advocating for public education with our legislators in Austin, and making sure that not only our community understands the system that we're put under, but also that our legislators understand our local needs and will help us fight for what we need here, because our voices matter, and I think that's an important part of our school board role. So, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Hadnot, would you like me to read the question again, sir?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. How will you balance fiscal responsibility with the need to maintain competitive teacher pay, high-quality programming, and equitable resources for all students in CFISD? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
I think what we have to do is we have to do some legwork, find out what other schools are doing. I think we have to do our legwork, do our due diligence, and work our way around to schools that are our size and see what they're doing to make it and saving money all together. We got to cut the fat. Things that we don't need, don't buy it. With the way the state, the Department of Education going back to the states now, it's going to get tough, and we're going to have to find a way to raise extra money for teacher pay and all the things that we need, and that some people think is a luxury for us to have in our district. So that's what we need to do. Do research on other schools outside and see how they're making it.
Thank you, Mr. Hadnot. Moving on to place or position number 3. Mr. Fields, would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Yeah, I think the first and most important question we talk about maintaining competitive teacher pay is we need to have an honest conversation about, is our teacher pay actually competitive right now? And not just assume that because there's been incremental raises over the last few years that actually does make us competitive with other districts that are the similar cost of living as ours. I stood in this boardroom in the summer of 2022 advocating for the TRE after spending dozens of hours doing research on similar communities to ours, and it wasn't great. Even with that TRE raise that we got in 2022, it wasn't great. So first, let's make sure our pay is competitive, and it's tough. I mean, these others have already said it. We are given a pie of a certain size, and our job is to make sure that pie is able to feed as many people as possible. And we're going to have to be innovative and creative and think outside the box in the way we solve problems. I don't think it's behoove us to just throw up our hands and say, well, shucks, that's what we got. I guess that's the best we can do. We have to sit in rooms and in schools and talk to the people doing the work and actually ask, where does the money make the biggest difference? And how can we make sure we're keeping the teachers we need? They're not leaving for districts where they're getting far more money. How do we keep our paraprofessionals who are making less money than a bagger at HEB and doing work just as hard as the teachers? And maybe we can't quadruple their pay like we would like to, but we darn sure should be able to find 10 other ways to make them feel like they're appreciated every single day. Some of the stuff that happens that is fiscal responsibility is us taking ownership over ways we are limited in our budget and finding creative ways to still make sure teachers and administrators have what they need. And that's not fun and it's not easy, but it's worth it because that's how the people you serve see that you actually care about them at the end of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Now we'll move on to place number 4, starting with you, Mr. Martindale, and then moving on to Mr. Horak. Mr. Martindale, would you like me to read the question
No,
again?
thank you.
All right.
And 2 minutes is far from enough time to discuss the shortfall in school funding and finance systems, but I know
You're
that's counting my time. Go ahead. Sorry,
You're
I
absolute-
apologize.
And so I will say to the audience, just so you know, in the last fiscal year, 86% of school districts adopted a deficit budget. And I will tell you that after every legislative session, the box of creativity, meaning the parameters for local control to happen, shrinks dramatically. And so it's always good to pay attention to what's going on in those 18 blocks because they can do some things, especially during spring break. So I defer. So again, we'll reset 2 minutes
Yeah.
that you're ready. Sir.
First and foremost, get involved with your elected officials in Austin, because if we could limit or do away with some of the unfunded mandates to come towards school districts, it might help actually begin to balance budgets, free up money for additional compensation. And I know and appreciate the carrot that the state passed toward districts this year in House Bill 2 to allow for additional compensation for teachers. But with that being said, they have done little to nothing over the years to account for true per pupil funding, or the ability for districts to generate additional funding per pupil to manage with their everyday operating cost. We all experience this from a personal standpoint, and the inflation the school district has to manage, the cost of things and goods and to do business are getting more and more expensive each year, yet the state is not reflecting any avenue for additional revenue growth through the state funding system. So this is a problem everyone's dealing with. The unfortunate thing about this and what makes it so tough is typically you have about 85% of your budget involved in people, and people make a difference. And so when districts start having to look at the budget, you can trim as many things as you can possibly find that's stuffed, but it's still typically only 15% of a school district's budget. So as we have experienced the last several years and in the past, when you have to reduce positions, the last thing you touch is anything that has implications with the classroom. The classroom should be a non-negotiable, and then you start looking at other avenues. And when I see a district or administration start cutting classroom teachers and things that impact class sizes, you better dang well lead by example and not add to central office, but rather reduce at central office to at least show that you're feeling the same pain you're placing upon them.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Horak, would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
No, sir, I'm good.
All right, 2 minutes that you're ready, sir.
So fiscal responsibility, and we've got 3 subject matters here with the competitive teacher and programming and resources. And so when you kind of look at that, obviously, first thing is advocating for your district. And so obviously my relationships with Kyle and Paul and Trey have just flourished, obviously before Kyle moved out of his position, but with Paul and Trey, just advocating for our school district, obviously during the legislative session, and then even after, because Paul and I still have those conversations. Because it's still an unknown. And so we get to play the game of the waiting and see where we're at. But obviously, yes, very grateful because 84% of our budget is compensation. And so very grateful for what the state did. However, yes, it was not enough. In 6 years, we've given a raise every year that I've been on the board because that is what is valued. Is it enough? No, it's never enough. I said it in a board meeting when we actually voted on it. It's never enough. I've lived through the life being a product of educators, so I understand that. But when you break it down, what have we done? In the last 2 years, in evaluation of departments and campuses and things like that, we've been able to save $3 million because we knew what we were coming up on. And so we were able to do that. We've started the 23 and 24 bond projects as soon as possible, because the sooner you start them, the more money you save, instead of doing them down the road and things getting more expensive, materials and labor. So when you look at that, and then obviously when we bring in the programming, as a trustee in a board meeting, I was a proponent to say, hey, we have to maintain our student programs. We're not cutting programs. We never cut a program to maintain our budget that we have coming, that we adopted. So, and then in resources, we have to be deliberate about what we are using. what resources is our school district using to educate our children, for our teachers to be able to do their job, and making sure we are using those resources and they're not just sitting on a shelf.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Audience, please give them a round of applause for answering. And so we are now going to move on to question number 5. And you guys have teed this up excellent as well. It's around advocacy at the state level. Jason?
Perfect. Yes, they teed this up for us, and this is why it's a great place here in this forum tonight. So local trustees play a critical role in advocating for fair funding and supportive state policies. As a trustee, part of your role is to engage with your locally elected officials so that they can hear the story that you are experiencing here at in your school district. Dr. Long?
So the question for you all, and we're going place 3, place 4, place 5 in order now, just so you know for response order. What priorities would you advocate for at the state level to ensure College Station receives the resources it needs to sustain academic excellence in the 90th legislative session? So we're talking about the legislative session that's coming up. So if elected, what priorities would you advocate for at the state level to ensure College Station ISD receives the resources it needs to sustain academic excellence? We will start with place 3, which is you, Mr. Fields. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
If elected, what priorities would you advocate for at the state level to ensure that College Station ISD receives the resources it needs to sustain academic excellence in the 90th legislative session?
This feels like a trick question. The answer is money. We need to advocate for money that supports the actual cost that it takes to have educational excellence. And we need our community to be a place where we can actually afford to educate kids in the way they need to be educated. And as other people said, that's only gotten more expensive, and the support from the state has not grown at the same level as the cost of educating kids. And so from the top down, constantly we're being asked to do more with less. And then we're surprised when people are burning out and fatiguing, and that's, we seem surprised by that. So first and foremost, we need to ask our state officials, legislature, to support what needs to happen at the school level with real dollars. So if that requires us to actually take examples of what we're not able to do in our classrooms, if it takes us showing them that librarians are having to cover multiple campuses, that GT teachers are having to cover multiple campuses, that specialists aren't able to give kids equal amount of services, we're asking teachers to do jobs that specialists used to do. Maybe they don't understand what that means because they're so far away from the classroom. So we need to find ways to tell those stories, and teachers have those voices. Teachers are great storytellers, great communicators. Let's tell those stories of what it looks like in a real day for a teacher to have to teach a class that morning, then do lunch duty, and then go back to teaching class that afternoon because there was nobody that was able to do lunch duty because there's not enough staff spots. I don't think most legislators are aware of those realities. And so we need to tell that story, beat that drum, be persistent, invite our community to advocate with us. And when we make enough noise, whether people like it or not, they do tend to pause and to listen, even if just to get you to stop making so much noise.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Moving on to place number 4, we're going to start you, Mr. Horak. Would you like me to read the question again?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
So it's almost like Groundhog Day because I feel like I've did this for the last 2 years because my opportunity to visit with Paul and Trey, not on a weekly basis, but it almost was one of those, hey, I'm saying the same thing and a result is coming out and I don't know if you're listening. So it goes back to what I said in an earlier answer. Education equals communication. I'm a firm believer of it, always have been. And so that's all I was trying to do with our legislative session. Educate these guys on, hey, here's really where we're at as College Station ISD. I told each of them, you fund us on enrollment and not average daily attendance, and you won't hear another word out of me because we will be able to make it and be able to kind of coast and do what we need to do for the most part. They understood what I was saying. They tried to push for it. Honestly, they did, and I appreciate the efforts. Going to continue those conversations. But bigger than that, fair evaluations across the board. If we're being evaluated as a public educator and our education system has been around since the test of time, why are we also not looked at and funded based on how funding is for other charter schools, private schools, things like that? It needs to be across the board because we are taking every kid. We don't turn away kids. And so that's my big thing is fair evaluations. And now obviously in the situation we're in, being underfunded, very grateful for the 5% that we were able to give to our teachers, or you know, the one that came from the state. But the biggest piece of it is now we have an outside the box mentality. How do we combat the shortfall that might occur? And so that's where I've charged the superintendent and the cabinet to, hey, where are we going with this? And so we've talked about opportunities to open the district for open enrollment because we do have a couple campuses that are under enrolled. And so we're looking at opportunities so that we can continue to flourish and bring in kids that want to do good and want to graduate and move on to the next level.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Mr. Martindale, would
Yes,
you like
sir.
me to reread the question?
No, thank you.
All right. 2
Uh,
minutes at your ready.
Thank you. And I agree with many of the things that Jeff said. I'm going to try not to speak superintendent talk, but as superintendent, I had numerous conversations with John Rainey and Kyle Cassell and even Shortner during my time regarding school finance and funding. So the first thing you have to do as a district is assure your superintendent and executive team are in communication with your elected officials in Austin, and you as board members need to be as well. They had my number to call me if there were any particular bills in front of them and how that might impact funding. You have to have that relationship and network so that you can have that dialogue so they understand how what they're voting on impacts school funding. Absolutely, and you have to narrow it down to something they understand so they know what to advocate for. Jeff mentioned funding on enrollment versus attendant ADA, which absolutely would help. Or you could approach it from a basic allotment. They have not really adjusted the basic allotment at all, but you have to zero on a specific things that our elected officials can understand that are mechanisms within the funding system that will trigger additional revenue for school districts through state funding. So I think relationships with elected officials and narrowing the scope so that they understand what you're asking for and you knowing that those elements will benefit the state funding mechanism and generate additional revenue for your school district. Those are absolute must, and this is something that all school districts are experiencing and struggling with. Unless there's something to be done with basic allotment or the weights within the funding template, will continue to be a struggle. And also, I concur, if ISDs were funded like charter schools, wouldn't be much of a problem anymore.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Moving on to place 5, Mr. Hatnot, we're going to start with you, sir. Would you like me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
If elected, what priorities would you advocate for at the state level to ensure that College Station ISD receives the resources it needs to sustain academic excellence during the 90th legislative session? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
I think you can go down the table, and I think everybody has the same idea about money and funding. We are so short of funding that we got ISS teachers, in-class support. They're leaving College Station like it's on fire because when they interview for a position, they go in, they look at, they show them with the salary scale, and those people never come back. We can't pay enough to keep those people in the classroom. Those are some of the key people that are relevant to our kids, special ed kids, kids that are low SES kids. All of our kids need help. Teachers are moving to different districts if they can get $2,000-3,000 more dollars because they need something for their home. The money is the key to everything that's happening in the state of Texas right now. And it's going to get worse before it gets any better. We just have to, like I said, we have to be diligent and watch over our spending so that we won't fall in a deficit. I know that the board now, they're doing that really hard right now to keep them falling in a deficit. They've worked really hard to do that. And I know they got the 5% from the state, but what's gonna happen next year, year after that?
Thank you, sir. Ms. McAdams, would you like me to read the question again?
I think I'm good, thanks.
Okay, 2 minutes at your ready, ma'am.
So I had mentioned that this advocating in Austin is something I have done more of over the last couple of legislative sessions. In fact, I was selected from our region to be on our legislative advisory council for the Texas Association of School Boards for our region in Austin for the last 2 sessions. And I mean, I could probably have a long list of asks, but I think, you know, the first one is the bucket of money and understanding, educating, like Mr. Horak said, our legislatures on how the decisions they're making in terms of funding are impacting our specific schools. I mean, we spent out of last year's budget, we spent over $4 million more on special education services than we were allocated from the state, right? We spent almost $2 million more on transportation than we were allocated for the state. You know, things that the funding formulas coming out of Austin are broken. So that having those relationships with those legislatures and helping inform them of those details can be very powerful. I also think we need to keep advocating for not just the teacher pay, but for the teacher respect and work that they're doing every day, because so many of the unfunded mandates that we get out of Austin fall on the teachers' backs, and we're asking them to do more and more with not any additional pay. So I think communicating that and advocating for that is also important. I also think we need to advocate for more funding for teachers to go to college. I think our state should support that. I told that to Chancellor Hager last week when I met him for the first time. And then the other one that we had a lot of conversations both with Trey Wharton and Paul Dyson was about accountability, about the STAR test and how we are more than just a STAR test. And so just revamping that is not the right answer for our schools.
Thank you. Ms. McAdams, please give them a round of applause for question number 5. For question number 6, we're going to move over to a local context question. And this is really centered around managing declining enrollment and fiscal sustainability. And you guys have sort of alluded and had conversations about this. And so this sort of brings it home.
All right, thank you, Dr. Long. So as we hear about such large growth in the state of Texas, we oftentimes, as we travel the state, realize there are districts that have flat or declining populations. So with that being said, College Station ISD is now experiencing a period of enrollment decline, creating new challenges for maintaining fiscal health, staffing, and long-term planning. Dr. Long.
So question 6, trustees, and we're going to start with place 4. Mr. Horak, we're going to start with you, sir, and then to Mr. Martindale. And then after that, we'll go over to position 5 and end with you, Mr. Fields, if that works. With shifting demographics and a decline in student enrollment, how will you approach decisions related to budgeting, staffing, and facilities planning to ensure financial stability while also exploring innovative ways to generate new revenue or different revenue while still sustaining those high academic standards that the community expects from you for your students? Again, read it again. With shifting demographics and a decline in student enrollment, how will you approach decisions related to budgeting, staffing, and facility planning to ensure financial stability while also exploring innovative ways to generate new revenue and or sustain high academic standards for students? Mr. Horak, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
The good thing is on the facility planning piece, we're ahead of the game on that because with the 23 and 24 bonds, we were able to sustain significant enrollment or any kind of growth that might occur. The good news on the budgeting piece, if there is any good news, is that we've already started talking about it. And that's what you have to do. You have to start planning now. And so what we've done, like I mentioned in my earlier comments, with options, open enrollment, or however you want to classify that, just allowing an opportunity there. There will be a system in place. It's not just everybody comes in and goes to school. There will be a system in place, and it will be conducive to what benefits CSISD. And so we've already started looking at those opportunities that should go out hopefully in the spring, if not earlier. And then staffing, that was looked at here this past year. 93% retention on teacher retention. However, yes, we did have to absorb some positions just because we looked at our actual enrollment and attendance in these classrooms, and each campus was different. And so when you take that into consideration, you have to look at the overall scope and do we have it correct? Probably not. I'm pretty confident we don't, but we are, I believe, 9 weeks into school. I could be a little off there. So we're constantly evolving and evaluating campuses and asking our campus leaderships to let us know, hey, what does this look like? What does your campus look like? What do your classrooms look like? So when you take all that into consideration and the declining enrollment, because we had a period where we were we were growing so fast, and now we're stagnant. And so with the voucher system coming out, it's going to be a challenge. We understand that. We're preparing for it. And that is the plan because that will affect our budget. And so if we put a plan together now that hopefully can combat it, hopefully we'll come out on top.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Mr. Martindale, would you like me to read the question again?
No, sir, I'm fine.
Okay, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Well, it's important to manage these types of things by utilizing demographers and looking at projections of enrollment out in the future, whether it's a declining enrollment or increasing enrollment. It gives you kind of an idea of how things are tracking so that you can begin having difficult conversations relative to the budget. You have to be systematic whenever you address these things and determine the allocations you can allow per pupil, look at the enrollment of a campus so you can determine programming budgeting as well as campus budgeting, and you have to have a system and process. And again, you do that and plan for that by getting demographers' numbers because they'll let you know how things are trending neighborhood by neighborhood and campus by campus, so you can see if you're reaching capacity or you have lower capacity, if your enrollment's going up or going down, and you can plan accordingly. There are not a lot of ways to generate new revenue for school districts. If there's an innovative way, nobody has identified it. Really, the only way to generate new revenue for school districts is with more kids. And as Mr. Horak alluded to, I know the district's discussing open enrollment, and with Senate Bill 2 and vouchers approved, that's a real possibility. And who would not want to come and be a part of College Station ISD if you had that opportunity? That is the only way you're going to generate new revenue for the system and for the budget. I do think that if the district considers open enrollment, which I'm not here nor there at this moment because I need to educate myself some more on their thoughts. It needs to have a good system and process in place to ensure it's not abused and we don't create a stress on our system by considering open enrollment. But it would be a possible option in generating new revenue for the school district.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Moving on to place number 5, Mr. Hadnot, we're going to start with you. Would you like me to read the question again, sir?
Yes, please.
With shifting demographics and a decline in student enrollment, how will you approach decisions related to budgeting, staffing, and facilities planning to ensure financial stability while exploring innovative ways to generate new revenue and sustain high academic standards for the students in College Station ISD? 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
That's going to be very difficult, excuse me, because we actually don't know how many kids we're going to have.
Your mic, sir.
That's very difficult to do because we don't actually know how many kids we're gonna have. Years, 2, 3 years ago, you could pretty much count on the number of kids you were gonna have in College Station, Texas. They were running to College Station, Texas. Now, every time I look around in the streets of College Station, Texas, I see another bus, not College Station's buses. There are buses from other schools, from other towns. We have got to find a way to raise money, to generate money. I don't know what that's going to be, but we have to find a way to do that. Speaking about Senate Bill 2, you know, we know we get money for kids that we don't know we're not going to have kids coming to our district. The voucher system says you can go anywhere. They might go to Mumford. They can go to Bryan. You know, we talk about demographers, which is all well and fine. Sometimes demographers miss the point. They miss the mark. They can't say for a certainty that you're going to have this number of kids going to your school because they don't know. So it's just a prediction. So we have to deal with hard data. Let those other buses and districts take what they have, and we got to deal with what we have.
Thank you, Mr. Hadnot. Ms. McAdams, would you like me to read the question again?
I think I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, 2 minutes at your ready, ma'am.
All right. So yeah, this is a different situation for our district to not really be growing after we had, almost 2 decades of very extreme growth. So we are leveled out right now, although if you look out at the demographers reports past like 6, 7 to 10 years, we do look like we will be picking up again. Not as steep as that growth has been in the past, but there is still going to be some growth projected here. Lots of unknowns, of course. Vouchers are somewhat of an unknown, but honestly, I personally don't think we're going to lose a lot of students to vouchers here locally. There's not a ton of other options for folks to go to, and those private schools cost a whole lot more than $10,000. We need to keep doing what we do here to meet the needs of every student, because we do that, and not every other school choice does that. But the other thing is, I think, if you know, it was mentioned, the only way we get money is per student that comes to this district. So in the short term, yes, we're going to be getting less money because we have a little bit of a negative growth. We have the facilities we need in place right now. We need to make sure we use them wisely with some good boundary adjustment, and because we're not really necessarily using all the capacity, and so that's going to be another thing on our table moving forward with our intermediate and middle schools. And I am certainly willing to have that discussion about having limited open enrollment. We need to start that discussion and make sure we really ask all the right questions about what it's going to mean for our district and how we're going to manage it. So we do make sure we're meeting the needs of our students here first, but opening it up the opportunity for other folks as well.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Fields, would you like me to read the question again?
I'm good.
All right. Yes, sir. 2 minutes at your ready.
Thank you. So always tough to go last because 4 other people have said things, but there's a couple things I'm actually surprised nobody's mentioned. The declining young people in this town is not just a College Station ISD issue. This is a College Station issue. College Station has become a very expensive place to live. This is a great concern for everyone in elected office in the city of College Station. So I'm surprised that no one has mentioned we need to be very regularly meeting with the folks in City Hall, talking about what they're doing to promote better cost of living so that we can have more kids in this community. There are teachers in our district, firemen in our city, policemen in our city who can't afford to live in the city in which they serve. That's bothering some people more than others. And the ones it's bothering, they need to become our allies. And we need to go find ways to have conversations to say, look, a community where people of all different socioeconomic classes can afford to pay rent is a better city. And when we can find those better cost of living opportunities, it's going to bring more kids to the district. I also would like to see us create, or at least attempt to create, more public-private partnerships. I know you don't see that a lot in public education. I come from the nonprofit world, but also have had some success in business, and that hard line that's been drawn between those two worlds has kind of always bothered me. The innovation we see in business that creates huge solutions to great problems is the same brain power that can create some of those same solutions in the nonprofit and the education sector. I just think we have to get those people in a room and ask hard questions and not take no for an answer. Keep asking questions and keep finding public-private partnership ways that everybody can win. And we do that, I think we'll be able to solve this problem, but I don't think it'll be easy.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Audience members, would you please give our candidates a round of applause for question number 6?
Dr. Long, if I may, I just wanted to make a quick statement here for any of you who may be in the crowd waiting or thinking that there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions from the crowd. This is not currently how we do this forum here this evening. Questions from the crowd were to be submitted before the event this evening, and we did our best to get into those this evening. But there's going to be no questions going to be coming live from the crowd. This is not the forum for that.
All right, thank you, Jason. And in that spirit, question number 7 is a community entered question, and this will be our last question of the evening before our closing statement. So for those of you at home, thank you so much for being with us and staying with us during this time. And for those of you in the audience, thank you so much for bearing with us and being a part of this conversation that we're having this evening. So question number 7 really has been given from the community, but is really around vision and impact.
Research consistently underscores that trust between employees and leadership. I'm sorry, Dr. Long, I don't know that I'm on the right one here.
So we flipped that. That's question 9, but it's question 7 now.
Got it. All right, sorry about that. I was making some notes here. All right, this is our community question, excuse me. Started off with research. Research from the Texas Education Agency and the National School Board Association shows that high-functioning boards maintain a clear, student-focused vision throughout their tenure. Within the State Board of Education framework, this aligns with the vision and goals and systems and processes dimensions, where trustees commit to measurable progress that improves student achievement and organizational health. Setting a single, well-defined goal creates focus and allows the board to monitor progress effectively. It's not about doing everything, but about doing the right things that leave a lasting impact.
It's a spirit in which, so it's in that spirit that we give you question number 7, which is a community issue question. If you are all duly elected, if you could accomplish one major goal during your term on the school board, what would it be? How would you accomplish, how would that accomplishment make a lasting impact on student, staffs, and the community of College Station ISD? Again, I'm going to say it again. If you could accomplish one major goal during your term on the school board, what would it be? How would that accomplishment make a lasting impact on the student, staff, and community of College Station ISD? For this order, we're going to start with position 5. Ms. McAdams, we're going to start with you. I can read the question again. Go ahead. All right, I like it. If you could accomplish one major goal during your term on the school board, what would it be, and how would that accomplishment make a lasting impression or impact on the student, staff, and community of College Station ISD? 2 minutes at your ready, ma'am.
All right. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit because I know what one of the things on my list that I would like to have accomplished over the next term, if I serve again, is an update to our strategic plan. I was a part of that. It'll be 5 years coming up this spring. And to me, that is just, it was a wonderful way to bring all of our stakeholders to the table. And that it was over a number of months that we sat down and had some of those really tough discussions about what do we care about when we think about our CSISD school district. What do we care about for our students and for our teachers? And it was a really meaningful exercise. It's time to do that again. And I really think being able to sit down and do a good job again with that, a meaningful effort with that strategic plan, will make a huge impact for our school district moving forward. And I think we kind of need it again. A lot has changed in 5 years. We kind of said at that time, this is going to last us for 5 years, and we're not going to, so it gave us that roadmap and that vision. But I mean, it's been a busy 5 years, both with things from the state and the federal level affecting us, but also here locally, we've had a lot of change. And, and a lot of that change has been positive, but I think there's also still a lot of that can be improved in our district. So that's really what I would focus on is getting everybody again at that table and making sure we're all working together for our district moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. McAdams. Mr. Hadnot, would you like me to repeat the question? No, I'm good. Okay, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
Turn on your mic, boss.
Mr. McAdams, you did say something that was really interesting to me, and having the community as part of your decision making, that's vital. We said that when we look at posts on Facebook, anonymous this, anonymous that. If we can have those people part of our decision making, we won't need anonymous. People can come to the district, talk to the people that are in charge. Don't be afraid to step out on your own and get information that you need from your board members and your superintendent. Nobody's going to bite. We're good people here. All you have to do is ask. It was like, for me, it was like the old PTO board. You want that kind of relationship with your parents and your community. A PTO board where you can talk about anything that's going on with that school and not feel threatened by it.
Mr. Hadnot, if we could, let's talk about how this is going to look for you.
Like I said, community, make them part of our decision making. That's key to me.
Thank you, Mr. Hadnot. Moving on to place number 3, Mr. Fields. Would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
I'm good.
All right, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
So for me to feel like I've been successful in this role, I would want to fast forward to the end of this 3 years or hopefully longer than that, and know that if we do a teacher survey, the vast majority of teachers say that they feel appreciated, valued, and listened to. Happy teachers who feel valued and appreciated are going to create kids who feel valued and appreciated. If teachers feel safe and seen and heard, they're going to grow kids who feel safe and seen and heard. So if we don't know what that number is today, or we don't have that feedback today that's positive, we need to get that feedback. We need to have a baseline. Even if it's uncomfortable, we need to have a baseline. And then my goal is in 3 years, we've grown that number dramatically. And if it hasn't grown, then that's on us and that's on the administration. And that's a measurable way for us to be able to say we've either done a good job of creating a culture where people feel valued and appreciated, seen and heard, or we haven't. That's one of the things that I would do, and it's pretty straightforward, and I hope to accomplish that.
Thank you, Mr. Field. Moving on to place number 4, starting with you, Mr. Martindale. Would you like me to read the question again?
No, thank you.
All right, 2 minutes at your ready, sir.
All right, Mr. Field, can you read my note, what that says? I know My hand.
Climate survey.
Thank you. I just wanted to, that's what I'd written. So Chris basically said what I was thinking. If I were to accomplish what I would hope to, if elected by the community, you would administer a climate survey in 3 years and know that you have generated an environment where our teachers and our employees feel appreciated and valued and feel as though they are part of the decision-making process and they have ownership of the things that are occurring in your school district. The only way to accomplish that, obviously, is through trust. The only way you establish trust is to go out, be engaged, and develop relationships with the faculty and staff. The number one indicator or variable or impactor on the quality of a child's education is the quality of the educator in the classroom with them. If we don't take care of that business, then quite frankly, nothing else matters. We have to ensure we have quality staff, and you can do so much with compensation, but there is a non-monetary component. And people are willing to work for $1,000 or $2 less. They don't want to, and that's not what I'm advocating for. But people, the environment people work in brings impact and value as well. If folks feel valued, trusted, and they're heard, they feel empowered, that can help compensate for some of the salary schedule at times. So if I were elected, yeah, I'd want a climate survey and see if we've had an impact after 3 years.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale. Mr. Horak, would you like me to read the question again?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, sir. 2 minutes at your ready.
So 6 years, long time, and a lot's going on between the CTE Center and a lot of goals that I've had each year as a trustee. But I think the biggest one that I've continued to work on and strive for is to evolve our procedures and our programs to better connect with our students, teachers, and community. The biggest piece of that we've seen in growth, obviously, is our STAR scores, our A through F accountability, our extracurriculars with our athletes and fine arts programs. Those are all very successful, and we are continuing to move the needle there. But the other piece of it is what we've done in the last few years with going outside into our community and teaming up with Texas A&M. I think we've added 4 or 5 different partnerships with them and then different local businesses here locally, just to say, hey, you support our students and we support you as a business. How about we team up and get together? And so it's been able to work and got great feedback there. Obviously, the Community Advisory Committee, the Dual Language Committee, Special Services Community that we're all formed, that means we're just listening. We're making sure that we're listening to what we need to do. But the bigger piece, and these guys said it, and I have it here, we've already talked about a new platform for surveys. One that allows, because we have a lot of anonymous situations, and we want to protect that. But we also have to get the feedback, and we have to be directive on it. So we need that feedback in these surveys that's informative and directive, because if we get an anonymous survey back, we have no idea maybe what campus that's from. And so we need to be able to pair those so that we can address them and move forward. And that's the only way we're able to do that. And so central office and the cabinet have tried to figure out what the best platform for that is. That'll probably be rolling out if they pull the trigger on it. But we've got to figure out the positives and negatives and adjust accordingly, because that's the only way forward.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Audience, please give them a round of applause for their last question of the evening. Now we're going to move into our final stage of closing remarks. And so we are going to go in order for this one. So we'll be ready for that. So each candidate will have 1 minute. Got to shift it. But before that, can we give George Trout a round of applause? He just came to watch. He just came to watch this show so he can make sure he's voting for the right person for his baby Libby, who's a beautiful, beautiful child here in College Station ISD. We went to A&M together. That's how I know him. So roommates and all that. So we're going to move on to our 1 minute closing remarks here. Start with place number 3. So each candidate will have 1 minute for closing remarks. And in this minute, we hope that they share their reason and their why so that you all will vote for them. Starting with you, Mr. Fields, 1 minute at your ready, sir.
Mrs. Crawledge, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Womack, Mrs. Anthony, Mrs. Hummel, Mrs. Sutherland, Mrs. Feckhelm, Coach Clifford, Mrs. Langdon, Mrs. Carney, Coach Pryor, Mrs. Wellman, and Mrs. Wiggins. I'm 43 years old and I can still name a teacher from every single year from K through 12. There's a lot of people in my life that I can't still name their names. I'm running quite simply because teachers change lives. My kids come home every day talking about their teachers like they're the greatest thing in the world. And my kids spend more time every day at school with their teachers than they do with me. And so if those people don't feel like they matter and they're not getting the support they need, then I'm not doing the job I need to thank the ones who made me who I am.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. Moving on to position and place 4, Mr. Horak, we'll start with you. 1 minute at your ready, sir.
I've talked fast tonight because we're on a time limit, but I can slow it down a bit because I get passionate about what we do as a trustee. And my passion, my commitment, and hopefully y'all see my leadership as a trustee is moving College Station ISD in the right direction. In 6 years, I've never missed a board meeting on Tuesday night each month. I have 100% attendance. My folks told me that when I was in school. Go to school. I take that to heart. And so I sit here because I'm here for these students and teachers. And I'm not going anywhere. I plan on being here, and I hope I'm sitting in place 4 seat because I've been through the tough times and I've been through the celebrations here, and I'm excited about the future. And I just want to be a part of it because I have a stake involved and I'm vested in this community. And there's a lot more than just me. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Also running for place 4, Mr. Martindale, 1 minute closing station at your ready, sir.
Thank you. Both Alicia and I's children, Ava and Cooper, are products of this school district. Again, class of 23 and class of 25. And now I just saw them this past weekend. I get to go see them at their respective universities and I see how they're flourishing. And I attribute that to the teachers and the experiences that this school district and community have provided them. I'm running out of gratitude because I want to serve. This district and community provided professional opportunities for me and still for my wife. But what they personally did, the teachers that invested in my kids and the experiences that they provided them while they were in school here, we are forever grateful for. And I'm running to give back and show my appreciation. And I'm committed to every student in this school district, just as I have been since I started as a math teacher in the early 90s at Angleton High School.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to place number 5, Mr. Hadnot, we will start with you. 1 minute closing at your ready, sir.
First of all, I'd like to say I feel fortunate to have this opportunity to run for College Station School Board. I am vested in this community. I came here on an ask by Dr. Johnson to stay 3 years. I ended up staying 20. That's just how I feel about College Station Schools. I got 4 grandkids in this district. I'm invested in the community. I want my grandkids to feel like they matter in College Station ISD.
Thank you, Mr. Hadnot. Now moving on to Ms. McAdams. 1 minute closing at your ready, ma'am.
All right, well, I've served for 9 years and I'm asking to continue to serve really because I just believe in public education. Like I said, it's for the 14,000 CSISD students here, but it's really for all of us and what good schools can mean for our community. So, I mean, I bring the experience to the board. I think it does matter because we do make some complicated decisions here sometimes. So I think I have that going for me. But I also think I've shown that I've been dedicated to doing this job, not only, raising my hand to be on every committee that I can here locally at CSISD, but also stepping outside of this community and again, advocating for our students in Austin and advocating for our teachers in Austin. And then finally, I think if you've paid any attention to the school board, you kind of know what you get if you elect me. I'm going to show up and I'm going to speak up. That's what I do at the board meetings. And I think it's the job and the role, and I'm willing to keep doing it for another 3 years. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. McAdam. To my audience, thank you so much for being here this evening. If you don't know, like, education is always on the ballot. Jason and I do this work because we're both products of public Texas education. I was saved by Texas public schools, and so I'm very passionate about this work, but I'm so humbled whenever I see an audience that has so many people that are here attending in person. Sometimes there's only 3 or 4 people in the room, and their decisions matter because they impact the future of your community. So you being a part of the process. And just so you know, can we give them all a round of applause, all our candidates a round of applause, because guess what? They're doing all this for free. They're not going to get any money. So that's one thing I would like to dispel, is that they do not get paid. They are doing this as volunteers. They are entrusted with the education of the future in the community and duly elected. And when they get on the board, they will only have 1 vote. They will not be able to vote individually because they are a body corporate by state statute. And so they will all have 1 vote that counts as a part of your collective voice because they are the connector between the community and the superintendent. And so before that, I would like to announce each of them. And when I say your name, stand up, and we're going to give you all a round of applause as we do so. And then I have some final closing announcements as we depart. In place number 3, Mr. Chris Fields, please stand. Give him a round of applause. Stay standing, please, sir. In place number 4, Mr. Mike Martindale. In place number 4, Mr. Jeff Horak. In place number 5, Ms. Kimberly McAdams. And in place number 5, Mr. Oliver Hadnot. Please give them a round of applause. And for those of you that are you guys can be seated, thank you. For those of you that are in the community and are watching from at home, I encourage you to share this out. If you can do anything, ask people to watch, ask people to lean in to make their own decision. I will say that I would also like to thank Dr. Harkrider and his staff. Not every place that we visit in the state, every school district or every superintendent is comfortable with us having candidate forums in their community. So the fact that you have a superintendent that's really supportive of that says something about his leadership and style. And also, early voting starts Monday, October 20th. It will run through Thursday, October 31st. The website, the College Station ISD website, has lots of great information to actually tell you where you can vote. And voting day is also Tuesday, November 4th. And I'd also like to thank Austin, Director of Communication, and his wonderful staff for taking care of us. So we can give them a round of applause as well. And that is it. You guys have a great evening. I would like to borrow all the candidates in the back for just a minute before we depart. Do you have something, Jason? Nope. We're just gonna borrow you. Oh, is it Friday, October 31st? Thank you. That's right. Keep me right.